Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hot Dog and a Handshake Pro Wrestling Show. This week, if you can't already tell by the title and thumbnail, we're doing something different. Instead of our normal classic review, we are doing our first career retrospective episode. The idea behind this series is that whenever one of those all-time great first ballot Hall of Famer type wrestlers retires, we'll do a special episode encapsulating their whole career. And the concept is basically it's very loosely based on the hero's journey. We kind of started with the hero's journey, changed it a bunch as we went and got here. So for the purpose of this exercise, we will be we broke down the wrestler's career into 13 major milestones that will not always necessarily be in this order. Of course, always will be the debut. And then mid-card establishment, first main event opportunity, main event establishment, the defining turn, the encountering the great rival, the climax of the great rivalry, finishing the great rivalry, their low point, their apex mountain, their reinvention, their redemption, and of course, their finale. For the first episode, we were taking a look at a man who fully embodies the phrase all-time great. You may know him as the Doctor of Thugonomics, the undisputed king of Make-A-Wish, or the Marine. He is a former UPW heavyweight champion, OVW heavyweight champion, OVW tag team champion, WWE Intercontinental champion, two-time WWE tag team champion, two-time WWE World Tag Team champion, five-time WWE United States champion, the 2012 Raw Money in the Bank winner, a two-time Royal Rumble winner, and of course, the never-seen 17-time world champion. This is John Cena, a wrestler's journey. Of course, I'm not going on the journey alone. With me is my co-host Shane Price. Shane, how you doing this week?
It's been a long week. I am excited to cover the career of John Cena, though.
Yep. So real quick, obviously we will get deeper into our thoughts on Cena as we go. Just for now, give me your base level thoughts on Cena, kind of how you feel about him.
I mean, he's very clearly one of the best storytellers with in and out of the ring of all time. When you think of just the ability to tell, I mean, obviously wrestling, you're in the business of telling stories. The ability to tell stories in and out of the ring is such a lost art almost these days. Like, we have guys who can do it outside of the ring or not in the ring work with like Jey Uso, who can lift the crowd from nothing to like all the way up top with one entrance, but gets in the ring and damn near everybody on the indies is an in ring with but promos and mic work, and they're just not quite there yet. For most of his career, John Cena had a great mix of both. But when I think about it, I know that to me he gets complacent in the middle of his run. But by the time it gets back up to like he's ready to like scale himself down, he's at his in-ring peak at that point. And I will say that as a little precaution to listeners and to you, from 2011 on, I was not a big Cena fan, so my experiences and what I talk about in this episode might be a little different than what Jayden does for that era, for sure.
Yep. I mean, that's what we do here. We bring our different perspectives of this. So let's start. I guess I could talk a little bit for me. Started watching wrestling in 2012. Obviously, he's one of the top guys. So he was just kind of always a presence in my wrestling life. He was one of my early favorites. I drifted away from him. And then, like you said, as his part-time run goes, he kind of, to me, has one of the best part-time runs ever, because everything he came back and do felt just so good and special and meaningful. So as his part-time runs, you really start to click. And also, as his part-time run, I felt like there was less restriction on him. He really showed the real John Cena through a lot more. So I've also had some up and down with him, but ultimately he lands as one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So we'll talk about that more. Of course, we need to start with the debut. John Cena versus Kurt Angle, SmackDown, June 27th, 2002. This episode of SmackDown starts with Vince McMahon, yuck, in the ring. He introduces Angle, and in kind of a hockey assist way, he introduces the next face of his company. Angle cuts a promo calling himself the poster boy of ruthless aggression and makes a challenge to anyone in the back. Lo and behold, the real poster boy of ruthless aggression enters. Right before Cena's first generic theme song hits, though, Angle starts a sentence. He says there's got to be someone out here who 50 years from now, and then the music hits. Who knows where that sentence was going? Maybe Kurt Angle, maybe he doesn't even remember. But we do know that 50 years from June 27, 2002, Cena will be remembered as one of the greatest professional wrestlers to ever grace the mat. First thing I want to talk about, though, regarding the actual match here, Shane, I want to talk about the look and style. Obviously, like everyone, he evolves over the course of his career, but there's a personality to how he moves and looks here that looks just like Cena today. Like little things like early in the match, he clotheslines Angle over, and then how he gets out of the ring to chase him out. It's the exact same as he normally would. The way he sells his neck and shoulder throughout the match is, if even watching matches for this, you see him do it a bunch of times, and every time I'm like, that's exactly how he did that in the first match. Not to mention, he did kind of have, I think it was more tape, but he kind of had the wristband thing going. And he does, the only like real Cena recognizable move he does in the match is he hits the shoulder block. That, of course, when repeated, becomes a hallmark of his move set. So, Shane, I'll throw to you. What did you see here in the Cena debut?
I thought he was a little raw.
Obviously. Yeah, good one.
In the ring, but there's
SmackDown, actually, Shane.
Shut up. There's very clearly something there. I mean, you can tell with a lot of young wrestlers that have like the it. They pass a certain thing of the eye test where you
They
can
have
just
that
tell
aggression.
they have the ruthless aggression or something like that. Also, this is a very solid TV opener, especially in a debut match for a wrestler. Was if a guy who wrestled, I don't know. Let me make sure my numbers are right here. I want to say like 6 times for WWE. Yeah, like 4 times for his first WWE match. So not the most seasoned wrestler here, but you can tell they really believe in him from the start, having him open the show and not having one of their top guys in Kurt Angle being like a total chump. Which, if a lot of situations like this, is probably what would happen. Like nowadays, if they sent a random person from NXT down into face whoever Kurt Angle is today, Gunther make him like a chump. So that's that. And I also want to circle back to the music here. That is the most ill-fitting music I've ever heard for a wrestler ever. Marilyn Manson is not John Cena music, and you can tell. I think you can tell kind of from the start that his theme's always going to vaguely be hip hop or rap. Not his own, but just the.
I think a lot of prototype Cena doesn't really fit him. I think that's why.
Yeah,
it almost goes really poorly before the Doctor of Thugonomics character comes on. You know. What else you got?
and for that in terms of the match, it was, as I said, it was a very solid beginning match. But I think the thing that's more important about the debut is that he almost wins more than once. Very close, 2.9 falls. And then after the match, I think is more important than the actual match itself, is that they're in the backstage and, a who's who of mid-carders are celebrating him, Rikishi, Ron Simmons, and Mr. Kidman, and they all, kind of freeze and walk away. And then undisputed WWE champion, The Undertaker, walks into the frame, asks him for his name, and shakes his hand. that I think if you put a young wrestler like that over in that way, you're giving him a huge expectation to fill and showing the public that this is going to be the guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to your point, that's like if an NXT guy pops up, almost beats Gunther, and then in the back is greeted by Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes shakes his hand. Like that's how big that was. Anything else, or is that all you got for this one?
That's all I really have for the debut. The debut
Well, the last.
was
Mm. I have
good.
one more point I want to make on my debut here, or on the debut here. I want to make the last point I want to make on this match is kind of an introduction to a theme I'll be talking about as we go. Um, to me, John Cena is the most recent American folk hero. As his career goes on, he kind of becomes an avatar for America and the American people. And so like it's just such a good like it's it's awesome his career evolved that way because he debuted against an Olympic gold medalist with the very patriotic gimmick. Like it's really interesting to me that that's the trajectory his career takes off of wrestling Kurt Angle. The defining turn: John Cena versus Kurt Angle, No Mercy 2003. The way they set this match up is that Cena is chasing Kurt's respect, which is exactly where we left off after his debut, when he went for a handshake with Kurt, but Kurt refused. Also, in the pre-match package, Cena plays into my previous point where he, albeit somewhat sarcastically, calls himself an American icon. And quick aside here, he also calls himself America's Nightmare, which is really interesting considering his final WrestleMania opponent was the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Back to 2003, though, Cena at this point was much closer to the Cena we know and love. You Can't See Me was well established. He was utilizing the FU. He had the shorts. The blueprint had really been laid out here. And I'm not talking about Matt Morgan. Usually when we say blueprint on the show, we're talking about Matt Morgan, but not this time.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet, at least. So now to the defining turn part of this. There's not really a pinpoint moment where Cena turned babyface. And I think part of that is because Vince didn't really have a choice. Like the fans made the decision. Cena was the kind of hero they were looking for. He was cool, but he was not like how Stone Cold was cool. He was more of the hip hop generation. He was Allen Iverson. Like Allen Iverson a few years earlier in the NBA, he was bringing like that hip hop style to the WWE. You know, instead of wearing a suit pregame like everybody else, Iverson brought style to the NBA. Instead of wearing boots, elbow pads, and wrestling tights, or a singlet like Angle, Cena was wearing sneakers and shorts and basketball jerseys, or just jerseys in general. So, what did you think, Shane, of kind of Cena here in the way the crowd rallied behind him?
I think that the crowd starts the match. I think they even mentioned this. They even mentioned this on commentary. The crowd starts the match much more in Angle's corner than they do in Cena's corner. And the way that it just builds and builds and builds to being Cena and all, he's not even doing anything different. He's still being the heel. He's still cheating. He's still showing no respect for Mr. Angle. He's trash talking. He's doing all these heel things, but like with Austin 5, 6, 7 years ago from this moment, Cena just it's what they want. It's the kind of, you know, smug arrogance that they like back, especially that time period. They like that he thinks he's better than them. They like that he's, showing off in the ring while he's doing well in the ring.
Yeah,
It's
no, it's kind of a rebellion thing almost. They're like, yeah, no, this is our
especially
fight.
especially in a still in that time period where that was still kind of the major like cultural zeitgeist
Hmm.
with like
Yeah, no,
South Park
absolutely.
and wrestling
Yeah,
and
every generation wants to stick it to the previous generation, and that's kind of what Cena was doing with Angle here, and that is really a kind of good point of why they got behind him. Um, yeah, you kind of mentioned like he makes the people cheer for disrespect, like Austin before him. I had that in my notes also, which was also again kind of like Allen Iverson. Like Allen Iverson's most iconic moment is hitting a big shot and then stepping over Ty Lue. Like that's so disrespectful, but people love it. Like it's the biggest defining moment of his career. Um, and Cena, he gets people to cheer when he hits Angle with his own medals, which also staying within wrestling that draws a great parallel to one of the guys actually in the following match at No Mercy, who would be world champ by the next match on our list, Eddie Guerrero. There's like a little bit of Eddie to him that I really like, and again, that's something we talked about recently on the Classic series is how much influence Eddie had, not just on the wrestlers today, but in the wrestlers he was working with, and in the fans, and just kind of seeing how that goes. So yeah, I think this was a great example of that. Mid card establishment: John Cena versus The Big Show, WrestleMania 20. Pretty much every wrestler has to go through the mid card on their way to the top. This is the night that Cena really established himself in that scene, and he does that by winning the United States title, which is really important in the Cena lore. Before we get into the U.S. title, let's start with the setting: Madison Square Garden. There is no more important building in American professional wrestling history, especially in WWE history. It's really fitting that this moment, as well as arguably Cena's greatest moment at Royal Rumble '08 and his final Raw match, all happened in this building, not only because MSG is the mecca of sports entertainment, because New York City is really the heart of the United States. And after all, this match is for the United States title. See, I've always felt the best intercontinental champions feel like WWE's guy. They feel like the next up. But the United States champion, the best United States champions feel like the people's guy. They feel like they're ours. Um, After all, this is an American company. The U.S. champion is our champion. He represents us. And Cena has embodied that more than most. His career is built on perseverance. He never gives up. He never says, I quit. I believe it was I counted it was either 5-0 or 6-0 in I quit matches. Never said I quit. And he embodies the true American spirit in the face of adversity we all endure. And he was facing a huge adversity in the Big Show, and one of his many feats of strength of his career was getting through the Big Show and winning this title. So Shane, what were your thoughts on Cena getting his footing in the mid card, winning the U.S. title?
so John Cena I think is hit like he has this like when he hits the attitude adjustment or the FU on really big guys, it's really played up as like a feat of strength. Um, I'm fairly certain he hit Rikishi with one before this in the timeline, but this is the feat of strength that people think of when they think of John Cena's first like big moment of how is he able to lift that guy and hit him with that move? Holy crap! No way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a major part of his later character because he's known as later on he's the guy who can do it all, who's the guy who you would have if it's one on one to save the world. You're gonna want John Cena because no matter how big the dude is against him, he's gonna pick him up for an attitude adjustment and put him down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, otherwise, the match I think shows that at this point in his career, Cena is able to wrestle guys who are not as gifted in the ring as Angle is and have a good match because to me that's a key part of being a good wrestler is if you can wrestle good guys and have great matches, that's great. But mid or limited in some way and you're still having these good matches is part of the reason why you become a 17-time champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Anything else on
if you watching this match, he's not wrestling any different from how he was in the last match, but there's no boos this time. There's not a single soul is booing him. He's doing the exact same thing he did before, and he's cheered now. It's just that it's the evolution of the character is not it hasn't changed. It's just the crowd has gotten behind him.
Yeah, there's an authenticity there. Like he was authentically him, and he won the crowd over doing that instead of trying to change himself for the crowd. Yeah, I see that too. Anything else on this one?
That's all I have for this one. Other than it's kind of weird how Jimmy Corderas, the referee in this match, and the last one, and the first is his debut match. How important of a person he is to his career.
I did not notice that. What I did notice is there's only 2 matches on this whole list we have here that aren't commentated by Michael Cole. We have 12
Yeah.
matches, 10 of them Michael Cole's on the comms.
So Michael Cole and Jimmy Corderas at this point they're not the main. They're the key back. They're the bench.
Yeah,
They're your sixth, seventh man.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they're Jamal Crawford coming off the bench.
Yeah.
All right. First main event opportunity. The Royal Rumble match, Royal Rumble 2005. Quick plug, we did review this show in full at the beginning of the year. That classic review is up on our channel. You can go check that out. The spotlight, the top of the mountain, the main event. Every wrestler wants to reach this height, but not all of them get there or even glimpse it. That night, Cena caught his first peek at the pinnacle of professional wrestling. However, there's one guy in his way, a man who, if we were doing this podcast in 2019, would have gotten a Wrestler's Journey episode of his own, and a fellow member of the legendary 2002 OVW class, the Animal Batista. Both men made their presence known immediately in this match. Cena, entering at 25, pretty quickly eliminated the world's largest love machine, Viscera. Batista entered at 28, followed suit by eliminating all 7 feet and 323 pounds of Kane. As the match continued, Cena paired up with Rey Mysterio, forming one of, in my opinion, the most underrated friendships in WWE. They were never officially tag team partners, but they were always allies, and I've always loved that about their dynamic. Which, of course, ended with Rey as well as Sheamus teaming with Cena in his final bout on Raw, as I mentioned earlier, in Madison Square Garden last month. Then we reach the climax. Cena, Batista, Rey, and soon to be one of Cena's greatest rivals, Edge, make up the final 4. Edge eliminates Rey first, and then Cena and Batista assist each other in the elimination of Edge. And then there were 2, and what followed is a legendary moment in WWE history. Bob Ross once said, "There are no mistakes, only happy accidents." The happy accident of this match was Cena and Batista hitting the floor at the exact same time. Then we got the even happier accident of Vince's quads exploding, but we've covered that before, as I mentioned. This happy accident was the closest Cena had found himself to the main event to this point. The match inevitably restarts with the final 2. Batista tosses Cena out and wins the Royal Rumble. This is where Cena first found himself within arm's reach of the main event. Shane, what were your thoughts on this and how close Cena got and what missing it means?
So he was literally like a millisecond away from winning this match on complete and total accident. Literally, you could not have. I don't think you could have done this any differently. The way it worked out in real life. You made 2 stars immediately.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
you can run a storyline on how they hit the ground at the same time for I don't know forever, pretty much.
I mean, yeah, it's 20 years. We're still talking about it.
Um, it is of course he loses the Rumble, but he still goes on to face JBL at WrestleMania. So this is just a hurdle in the way of eventually becoming the main event star. is this. Like he's there. It's just you ran into a Batista-sized hurdle.
Yeah, and that is a Batista-sized is a that's a pretty
Fairly
hefty hurdle.
large hurdle, yeah.
Yeah.
And they said, I think a key part of why both of them kind of skirted out of getting in trouble is how quickly and how perfectly the audible was as soon as they hit the ground. And I like this a lot. The SmackDown refs, so if John Cena, who's on SmackDown at the time, and the Raw wrestler Batista, who's on Raw at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And commentary
little
played into that
things.
too.
Yeah, that's
Commentary
true.
played into that too. Yeah. If this was the real hero's journey, this kind of feels like kind of the road of trials. Like it feels like he had to go through this near miss. Like he nearly had that to get to where he's going, which, as you mentioned, is his main event establishment: John Cena versus JBL at WrestleMania 21. At the Royal Rumble, Cena got his first view of the spotlight. Just a couple months later, he grabbed it. In my opinion, JBL is Cena's most underrated rival. I think his name needs to be brought up with Orton, Edge, and Punk when we talk about Cena's career. JBL plays the rich asshole here. He is the living embodiment of corporate greed, and this feud is where Cena becomes the working man's wrestler, filling the void that Stone Cold left open a few years prior. Sorry, I've just completely lost myself in my notes. Okay, here we go. For crying out loud, this match was fought in a ring surrounded by fake money with JBL's face on it. They could not make it any more clear what Cena's fighting against here. This feud is where Cena really embodies the rebellious spirit the United States was built on by standing up against the rich and powerful. And after all, we all know a man is not judged by the way that he thinks. Or a man is judged by the way that he thinks, not clothing lines, ice links, leather, and minks. This match also is the completion of a journey that started all the way back at No Mercy 03. At No Mercy, the fans had just for the first time made a connection with Cena. Then at WrestleMania 20, he won the U.S. title. In his time with the U.S. title, he grew a connection to the fans. This was now a two-way symbiotic relationship. This all came together with the moment at the end of the match. The first thing Cena did after reaching the pinnacle of professional wrestling by earning the title of world champion was going to the fans. We were already his, but that gesture confirmed that he is ours. Obviously, you and I weren't watching at the time. I'm going to use we to just kind of say
the collective we.
The collective we of wrestling fans. Yeah, even though we weren't watching at the time. What does this match and moment mean in your mind, Shane?
I think it's some. Obviously, it cements him as the top guy. This was them handing the belt off from a pretty good champion to, all right, kid, this is your company now. Have at it. Because he wins this title in 06, and then he wins, 17 more of them in 20 years, less than 20 years? Hell, less than like 10 for most of them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So this is just them giving him the figurehead, the ace, whatever you want to call it. This is the fans. This is the peak of the fans loving him. This is the peak of his early career.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's like Dusty. It's the common man versus the rich man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think that's why it was so looked on as John Cena being this top guy, is that he's the common man. He's the man's man. I think it's why it works so well.
Yep. Next up, as some of you may know on our classic review show, we always go through a list of categories after we talk about the show. We still have plenty more matches to go for this episode, but I wanted to stop here and go through a list of special categories for this series, starting with the Hall of Fame bust title. In Major League Baseball, every Hall of Famer gets a bust in the Baseball Hall of Fame, which features, for the most part, a hat with a logo of a team they played for. If there was a real physical wrestling Hall of Fame where the wrestler's bust had a title over the shoulder, what title would Cena have? Shane, I'll let you go first on these.
Oh, the Spear Belt.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no other choice. I mean, it was a belt originally made just for him. They were going to go back to the old design after he lost it, but it became so big and sold so many toys and replicas that they just kept it. So every
I will
champion for like the
say,
next 9 years held Cena's belt.
I do kind of wish they went back with it.
To
Only
the undisputed
because, yeah, because could you imagine the undisputed title? Or let me look up the people who were champion at this
would
time.
have
Give me
been
a second.
Edge, Batista, Orton, Triple H, um,
Could you
Punk.
imagine Orton with that belt or Punk with
Oh,
the belt?
oh yeah, it'd be incredible.
The spinner belt didn't fit everybody, and I think that was a really big complaint about it. It didn't fit anybody with Cena.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. All right, the spinner belt's obviously my answer as well. Biggest missed dream match. This one kind of explains itself. What's the biggest dream match that we missed between Cena and someone who was active at the same time? Who is it for you, Shane?
So, I mean, I guess they did wrestle, and it was an exceptional match. So I guess this doesn't really technically fit. I'm looking at it as a missed opportunity in terms of timing. Because AJ Styles and Cena did wrestle each other in a sensational match that we're getting to later.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that if you took 2007 John Cena and 2007 AJ Styles, you have maybe one of the best matches of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, it's Hiroshi Tanahashi. I just really like how much their careers have in common in a very similar time frame, down to the dueling retirement tours. It would have been a really awesome match to see happen at any point, but especially in the late 2000s, early 2010s, like somewhere in that 08 to 2012 range, I think would have been awesome. So that's I thought about Samoa Joe also. I can't remember if they ever wrestled in WWE, but I feel like
They
he also
wrestled
would have been a great one.
they wrestled in I bet you did in UPW.
Okay. But yeah, that was mine. Biggest career what if? Again, pretty self-explanatory. What is the biggest question mark on Cena's career?
There's a couple. I have two. If you want to go first.
Yeah. Mine was what if Stephanie never hears him rap on the bus? So the story of the Doctor Thugonomics character is that Cena and some other wrestlers on the SmackDown bus were just like freestyle, like rap battling on the back at the back of the bus, and Stephanie just happened to hear Cena do his bit, and she discovered that talent, and she said, "We should use this. Let's make this your character. This is who John Cena is." And then, of course, that launches the Doctor of Thugonomics, and that gets us all the way to now. So, what did you have?
In when they ran the John Cena fired angle, he's at the peak of his powers. What if he was for shoot fired and went to like
Okay, what year was this?
2011,
2011. Okay.
which is a good timing because you give TNA the biggest wrestler in the universe. Can he carry the load of building a brand instead of being the face of the brand to be the brand?
Yeah,
And then
that is really interesting. Yeah.
my other one is this one's bigger. Uh, I remember reading about how he tried to get into the power plant.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, what if Cena got into the power plant? This changes everything almost.
Yeah. I mean, it could. I mean, that even changes how he wrestles. Like that changes his style and his like everything down to how he throws a punch in a clothesline. Like that would have been huge. I wonder how that would have because what year would that have been? Like 2000?
2000, 2001, yeah.
And so then WCW goes under. So then he
Who
would
are
have
you looking
been
at?
like
Like Sean O'Hare, Chuck
yeah,
Palumbo, Mark Jindrak, who aren't bad wrestlers by any means.
but none of them even made it
None of
as
them
far as like
ever
United States
close.
champion. Yeah. Yeah, those are great ones. Best promo out of all of Cena's incredible moments on the mic, which do you think is his best?
I love his raps personally. Um, this is a tough. I had a couple. I went in the categories blind because I like doing it better that way. But this is a tough one doing blind.
Mm.
What'd you go with? 'Cause I feel like that's
Um,
you're the more
I
Cena
went
person than
with
I am.
tearing apart Roman Reigns on Raw, August 28th, 2017. Um, this is it's called a promo kid. You're gonna have to learn how to do a promo. He just cooks here, and I rewatched it last night. I just remembered it being awesome and me like really enjoying it, but I rewatched it for the first time in a couple years, all the way through last night, and it actually is another great example of what I've been talking about with Cena. Like he really breaks the fourth wall here in a brilliant way. He even says, "See you, fourth wall." Like he does that intentionally here because Roman is the new handpicked top guy, and Cena is once again rebelling against the office to prove the handpicked guy isn't as good as John Cena. Like he is rebelling against the office here by cutting Roman down a peg. What are you thinking? What to you is his best promo?
There is a promo from his heel run I really like, which is
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah,
Should
he had a couple good ones at the beginning there.
I'm gonna give it to him battling Cody Rhodes on the mic from Raw,
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
where he says he doesn't bury talent, he is talent.
yeah, yeah. I
That
just saw a
is
clip of that on TikTok today.
that
That
was
was
my
really good.
favorite Cena promo of all time. Mr. It's not his normal character. First of all, it
Mm-hmm.
shows growth as a wrestler in promos, and just I love that line. That is one of the best lines I've ever heard in a wrestler's promo.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, most iconic merch item. Every great wrestler has merch. Which Cena merch item is the most iconic?
Does it have to be one T-shirt, or can it just be his line of colorful T-shirts?
I would say for Cena, we can probably go the line of colorful t-shirts if you wanted to go that. For
Then
other
yeah,
people, you would maybe have to pick one, but for Cena, yeah, the Fruity Pebbles t-shirts.
yeah. The colorful T-shirts. I said I have to pick one.
Mm,
Personally, my favorite is the AWA one from 2009, 2008.
that one rips. Trying to remember which ones did I really like. The AWA one's awesome. Um, he had a pink one that I liked. I don't know why I like pink as a color scheme so much in wrestling, but he had a pink one. Didn't he have one that was like a video, like an NES, a video game shirt
Yeah,
almost? I really like that
it
one
was
too.
it was the NFT one. I know that much.
Yeah. Um, I picked something a little bit more unique. For me, it's the wristbands.
Nah, he's got one on. You
Yeah,
came
I've had
prepared.
this. I think I wore this every day in fourth grade. Um,
Well,
it is.
I had them too. Like I'm not. I
Yeah,
had the red ones.
yeah. I don't even really. I don't remember how I got it, but I found it today. Um, and yeah, to me, it's so unique to him. And especially for like the kid focused era that he really peaked in, it's such a perfect item that a kid would want to have. I know I like wore wristbands when I played basketball just because like Cena had wristbands. Like that was like a real thing he had on me, and then I wore this one like every day, like I said in fourth grade. Last category here. Who real sports comp. Who to you is the best comparison to Cena from a quote unquote real sport?
Well, it's got to be one of somebody's Jews greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to include the fact that he wasn't well liked, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me to one person. I know that last move. I think you get the same person. So tell me, Jayden, what's yours?
I picked Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
said, not very well liked. 7 Super Bowls, 17 world titles. Not to mention Cena from Massachusetts. Brady played most of his career in Massachusetts. There's a lot of connections there. Yeah, he's Tom Brady of professional wrestling. Back to the regularly scheduled content here. Encountering the Great Rival, John Cena and Triple H versus Randy Orton, Kurt Angle, and Rey Mysterio. Saturday night's main event, March 18th, 2006. Technically, his third televised match against Orton, but the first was a Royal Rumble, and the second was a 3-minute Raw match with a DQ finish. So, for purposes here, this is the first encounter of the Great Rivals. Every great wrestler has a great rival. Austin had The Rock, Brett had Shawn, and Cena had Orton. This match in particular isn't a great spectacle of this rivalry, but there is a really fun bit when Cena and Orton get simultaneous hot tags towards the end that I really liked. This, however, is the on-screen start of something special. We all know that this rivalry actually started in 2001 in Ohio Valley Wrestling when both men debuted as part of what would become the legendary 2002 Ohio Valley Wrestling class. Over the next several years, their careers would parallel. When Cena won the U.S. title, Randy was Intercontinental Champion. When Orton won the heavyweight title, Cena was WWE Champion. We'll get into it more as they continue, but Shane, what do you think of the early comparisons between Cena and Orton leading up to this point, and what do you think makes them such perfect rivals?
yeah. Um, from coming up in that same class, you could drag and drop everybody in that group of five as rivals, and they would be great rivals against each other. But Cena and Orton, they were always kind of earmarked as like the top guys from that class. So I think that's the big one. That they were obviously viewed as like the biggest heel and face of the company from the
Mm-hmm.
start. But I think part of it is they just had perfect chemistry with each other in the ring.
Absolutely, like that is they really did. You can even see it in this match, like this Orton counters the attitude adjustment. You're like, that is just he's gonna do that 1,000 more times in 1,000 different ways, and it's gonna be great every time. For me, I feel like the rival really boils down to why they're doing this. As we've established, Cena is really here for the fans, but Orton feels like this is his destiny. When rebelling against the establishment, as Cena does, you're going to come up against nepotism time and time again. Orton definitely proves he deserves to be on the big stage, but he always has that arrogance of someone who walked the easy path to success. That to me is why their dynamic works so well. Cena is the common man. Orton grew up with the metaphorical silver spoon in his actually better kind of metaphor here. Cena is the working man who got here. Orton grew up with the brass ring already in his hands.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So, do you have anything else on this match?
you took the words out of my mouth. Is the problem there? So I think I'm
Yeah.
going to agree with you on that. It is the second generation Bob Orton Jr. compared to Cena working his ass off in LA, across the country from his home,
Mm,
colliding into what was a fruitful 24-year rivalry.
yeah. Now on to Apex Mountain. John Cena versus CM Punk, Money in the Bank 2011. We have a pretty big jump here from 2006 to 2011. So, Shane, could you summarize this time in Cena's career for us?
So 2006 to 11 is both the best and the worst of Cena's career. Not the worst in terms of like quality or anything, but just what happened to him. 06, he's champion. It's looking great. He loses the belt to Edge with the first Money in the Bank cash in. That's a pretty big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
He regains it by the end of the year. He beats Edge at Unforgiven, I want to think it is.
Yeah, they kind of had some back and forth throughout that year.
But by the end of the year, he's champion. In 2007 comes around, he has arguably his best match up until that point with Umaga at the Rumble. Um, and he keeps it. And then in October of 2007, he drops the belt because he tears his pec on a Raw against Mr. Kennedy. And Cody was out for what, a year after that? Give or take?
It was like 7 or 8 months, I think.
And well, keep in mind that Cody hurt his pec harder because he was working out because he's a weirdo. Keep that in mind. Cena came back in 4 months from that at the Rumble in 08. Just superhuman.
As we mentioned, one of his greatest moments.
So he gets to 2008. This is pretty good. 2008. He wins the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. He holds that until the end of the year. No, he doesn't. I forgot he doesn't. He holds that at the end of the year, which is funny because he gets. No, he doesn't. I'm sorry. Before that, I should say, he he herniates 2 discs in his neck and has to get neck surgery. Next day they're in Pittsburgh. He's there the next day. He doesn't wrestle. He's there. He shows up. He's out from the end of August to the end of September of November. That is 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Complete, just superhuman ability to heal. 2010, he's not injured. He wrestles his full schedule. Wins a multitude of titles in that time period. 3 WWE titles in 2009. A 5th and a 6th and a 7th in 2010. A tag team title in 2010, where he gets to chance to join the Nexus after losing to Wade Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets fired, quote unquote, as John Cena. Very important to the story of John Cena. 2011 comes around. He wins the tag team title one more time with The Miz. Is embroiled in a feud that culminates in a May 1st pay-per-view appearance on 2011, where for some unknown reason, John Cena, of all people, after defeating The Miz and John Morrison for the title, is the second person to know that and say to the world that Bin Laden was killed.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson and John Cena.
That is
what?
The craziest moment in Cena's career. Like, how did they get the news to him? Who found out from who?
Who told Dwayne?
Yeah.
Nobody talks about that.
I don't know. Yeah. So that does bring us here. Chicago, Illinois, July 17th, 2011, with the WWE Championship on the line. On one side, we have the establishment, the former Rebel who lost his way. Earlier, you said something in your just kind of general Cena career thoughts. You said he got complacent, and this is where that had happened. This time frame we don't jump it on accident. He gets complacent in this time. He's the former Rebel who lost his way. He's the WWE champion, John Cena. On the other side is the new Rebel, the voice of the voiceless and the hometown guy, CM Punk. Now, I want to start with that last part, the hometown. In sports, there are certain athletes who perform best in certain situations. Among them, Derek Jeter in November, Klay Thompson in Game 6, and John Cena in enemy territory. But the special thing about wrestling is that it always means more. Cena wasn't just behind enemy lines, he was truly lost. He had become what he had previously been standing up against. As CM Punk put it, he became the New York Yankees. Now, onto this match. If you listen to our classic review series or the Ringers Rewatchables podcast, you know that the concept of Apex Mountain means when someone is at the peak of their powers, the very highest point in their career. That's where we find Cena here. This match is his very best work, even though he doesn't win. His demeanor completely changes. He walks down to the ring slowly with his head down, focused only on keeping the WWE Championship from escaping the company. Across the ring from him is CM Punk. Punk at this time had come to fill the Rebel spot that Cena had left vacant. He was speaking truth to power, but in this story he plays a much bigger role than Rebel. He reminds Cena who he is. In a way, if we had stuck closer to the original concept of the hero's journey, this would be the meeting with the goddess. By the end of the match, Cena refuses to let Vince McMahon cheat his way out of it. He rebels against the establishment for the first time in years. Cena is now fighting for the fans again to keep the WWE title in their lives. I'm sure we'll revisit this match from a Punk perspective when he gets an episode in this series. But for now, Shane, try and take your Chicago flag tinted glasses off and give me your thoughts on this from the Cena perspective.
You don't want to know how I think it's Cena's best match then.
What'd you say?
A lot of this match. Oh, you want to know why this is my favorite Cena match? Is because a lot of this match, in a lot of his career, he's the guy who's calling the spots in the ring. And to me, a big complaint I have about John Cena doing that is it way too loud. In the 2003 No Mercy show, you can hear him calling a spot, and I'm like, this is way back.
Yeah.
This is way back.
There's probably a great compilation somewhere on the internet of him doing that.
Oh, it's probably on YouTube somewhere, give or take.
Yeah.
But this match, he takes the passive role, and I think if you are a great mind like CM Punk, you can use all the abilities that John Cena has, that you know he has, to both of your credit. And when John Cena's running the match, he's either A, trying to get it done because he's the top guy, he was told you got this amount of time, make yourself look good, or he just doesn't believe in himself almost as much as CM Punk believes in him. It feels like that. CM Punk takes it and elevates his skills to the next level, especially because it's an away game too. Away game Cena, as you said, is the best Cena.
Yeah.
But plus he's giving it all he's got to keep that the title that means so much to him in his life, in his job.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't remember that he was going to be fired if Punk won that match.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, why he is leaving it all in the ring. He is leaving nothing to chance. He's trying damn near everything to beat Punk. And it's the same thing with Orton. They were meant for each other in the ring. Even more than Orton was meant for Cena. Punk and Cena were meant for each other in that ring.
Yeah, we had to have a hard conversation about, for the greatest rival, do we do Orton or Punk? Because I think we're both in agreement Punk is his best rival. Like, that's his best rivalry. His best feuds are with Punk. But the Orton thing, I think, edged out just because of the length, like just the time frame of that. This Punk feud coincided with a year-long rivalry Cena found himself in. And because of Punk, Cena was able to find his stride in that feud. Now that Cena was fighting for the fans again, it was time for him to do so against the man who left these fans, to go to Hollywood. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Low point. John Cena versus The Rock, WrestleMania 28.
This is my high point. What are you talking about?
Every journey reaches its rock bottom, pun intended. For Cena, that happened on this night. Cena finds himself as the underdog once again. Not only that, he's fighting for the fans again. For the first time in years, he walks into WrestleMania as the real John Cena again. But there's a reason this is the low point. It's not just because he loses the match. It's because when he lost the match, the crowd erupted. Cena may have reconnected with the fans, but the fans still hadn't reconnected with him. Punk pushed him in the right direction, but The Rock reminded Cena how much work it takes to reach the place he reached 7 years earlier against JBL. Shane, you were in the stadium. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Cena Rock revisiting here for this?
This is the first time I actually rewatched this match since I was at the show. So there you go. And I actually watched the end of this match from a BP gas station outside the venue. but looking at this match, you can see that it's the same thing. Cena has been fighting The Rock for a year. He wants to finish this. He wants to put this to an end. He wants to prove that his generation and he is the future, he is the present, he is the now. And that's why he's going to beat The Rock. He's going to prove that he is the best in wrestling ever. He is the icon of WWE. And he can't do it. He fails. And the crowd loves it. And he's just sitting there on the edges ramp, contemplating life. And I know my third big what if here is that this was almost the point where he cracked in character. And I think this would have been perfect. It would have changed the journey forever if Cena faces this public backlash and he lost. He's not the icon he thinks he is. They could have turned him heel here. It would have been perfect. But no, they don't turn him heel. I think it's a credit to his character. He gets stronger from this point. This is his low point. He recovers from this.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what makes him the true icon of WWE. Is that he recovers from the low point, whereas a lot of the other guys don't.
Yep. Now on to the climax of the great rivalry. John Cena versus Randy Orton, TLC 2013. Now we find ourselves back to Cena's greatest rival. Just as every career has its low point, every rivalry has its climax. For Cena and Orton, that was TLC 2013. We covered how Cena and Orton climbed the ladder, again, pun intended, of professional wrestling together. From OVW to IC and US title wins, to world title wins, to Royal Rumble wins, to Money in the Bank wins, these two were never far from each other on that ladder. So, Shane, what do you think of this match in the context of the Randy Orton-John Cena rivalry?
This felt like it wasn't the end, so to speak, but this was the end of it. This was the final match of them being in the main event together for the biggest prize in professional wrestling. It felt like this was like the natural climax of it all, the ending of it all. The stakes were as high as they always were.
Higher, even. It was 2 world titles.
It's true. It's true. Both world titles on the line, unification. And I think continuing the low point, the fact that Cena doesn't win, I think adds to his character. If he beats The Rock, he wins this one easily. But he didn't beat The Rock. He's been recovering since. He's still not the guy still.
For me, we find Cena once again fighting against the establishment, literally fighting authority. He is in the working man. He is the working man's wrestler once again. Yet the Cena sucks chants are still palpable. He finds himself across the ring from his greatest rival in the man that represents everything holding the American people down. But still, half of them cheer for the apex predator. This match still shows there's a lot of work to be done to fully reestablish himself as America's wrestler. So, reinvention. John Cena versus Rusev, WrestleMania 31. Cena realized what worked for him before and went back to his roots. Just like he did 11 years prior, he challenged for the United States title at WrestleMania. Also, at WrestleMania. As they did at TLC, a significant chunk of the fans in attendance booed Cena. But as the match went on, kind of with your point in the angle No Mercy, he won them back. His American fighting spirit, his inability to give up, and his dedication to the fans shone through in this match. So much that by the time it was all said and done, the crowd erupted in cheers. The same cheers he heard at WrestleMania 28, but this time they were for him. John Cena rededicated himself to the fans in 2011, and after 4 long years, the fans were rededicated to him. Shane, from your point of view, what does this moment in the ensuing title reign mean to Cena's career?
It's the rebirth of Cena's career. You know, as I said, he got complacent from like 2008 on 2020, 2011. When he's not wrestling Punk or Orton, he's still kind of coasting after the Rock loss, building back up. This in the U.S. Open Challenge, he's back on top. He is finally here to his last full-time run, and he's finally here to show up that he was here and he's back and he's ready to wrestle for you guys.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So now, redemption. John Cena versus AJ Styles, Royal Rumble 2017. The last step in getting the fans fully reinvested in him is for Cena to win over the Smarks. In all of wrestling history, there arguably is not a better representative of the Smarks than AJ Styles. It's not an insult to him, it's just who he happens to be. The thing about the Smarks, though, is they don't care if you win or lose. To win them over, you have to have a great match. Cena stepped up to the plate, and he did it. After about a decade of Smark hate, he won them over and finally got back to where he was in 2005. From this point on, the number of anti-Cena wrestling fans dramatically decreased. Cena finally reached the level of The Undertaker or Stone Cold Steve Austin or Bret the Hitman Hart. No more doubters, no more detractors, just a fan base that loves him as much as he loves them. How do you feel Cena did in completing this redemption arc here, Shane?
This match was so good. This was a breath of fresh air at the time.
This was the only match in this where, for like a good chunk of the match, I just like forgot about the project and was just like locked in. This was just an awesome match.
Yeah, I'll be real. This is the one match I have no notes for, which is why I might just get off the dome for this one. Well, you see, part of it is they never left the ring.
Yeah.
That is a extremely hard thing to do, especially when you're John Cena and you're AJ Styles, where that outside the ring is a place you'll work at often enough. But to have your best match in years, sit in 6 years. I'll give it 6 years. This is his best match of 2011. I think that this shows that John Cena was giving back to the fans in a way. He was trying to say, hey, I'm appreciative of all of you being here for so long.
Yeah, he was redeeming himself. Next up, finishing the great rivalry. John Cena versus Randy Orton, Backlash 2025. Let's put the overall year of 2025 aside for a second and just focus on these two men. We first checked into this rivalry when Cena and Orton were young guns. Then we found them as world champions at the peak of their powers. Now we find them as the elder statesmen, two old gunslingers face to face one last time. Over the course of this match, they played the hits, power slams, shoulder tackles, RKOs, and attitude adjustments. But the script had been flipped. Cena, now the Black Cat, is trying to run away with the title. Orton, in the unfamiliar role of White Hat, is ready to kill one more legend to save the title he loves. The roles may have been reversed, but the feeling was all the same. It's Brady versus Manning. It's LeBron versus KD. It's two parallel careers crossing paths for one final time. Shane, we'll get into the heel run in the next section. What are your thoughts on this rivalry as a whole and its final installment's place in the halls of this rivalry?
I appreciate that it was reverse roles. I think that proves that both these guys truly are the best in what they do. This feels like, when the hated athlete for winning all the time leaves his team and joins an underdog, and then the beloved one ring chases.
Mm-hmm.
And they play their hits, they play their strengths, and it wasn't a technically sound match. These guys are definitely slowing down, but the feeling what was there, it kind of carries the match.
All right, here we are. Finale. John Cena versus Gunther or LA Knight. We don't know as we're recording this.
Yeah.
Saturday night's main event, December 13th, 2025. Shane, I'll leave it up to you first. This is your opportunity to monologue about Cena's career and what he has meant to you. Everything else you want to put out on the table, put it out here. What you got?
I mean, I appreciate him, obviously. Being getting into wrestling in 2009, he was a big part of it. I went at him as Halloween one year, but it didn't take till being in the building for WrestleMania 28 and my mom saying, "You don't like John Cena, do you?" to realize that, oh, I don't like John Cena. And it was for that part, it was kind of his fault, but for the mid 2010s, it wasn't his fault with the authority. He just got a bad storyline, but the way he reinvented himself after 2017, it was appreciating to see this, how the old guy still had it in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
And the heel run was disappointing to say the least. Really disappointing to say the least. They had a good couple of promos, but after that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously one of the greatest of all time, but I feel like imagining if he didn't get complacent and kept going at full speed, I think he could have been a 20-time champ, realistically.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Then I'll hand off
My
to
turn?
you. Yeah, I'll
All
hand
right.
off to you.
Guys, it's been a rough year to say the least. From February to October, nearly every aspect of Cena's last run was ruined by who we've discovered through the process of this, project is his actual greatest rival, the people in charge. But this time Cena couldn't rebel himself. He needed us. He spent years rekindling that relationship with us for this moment. We made this tour turn around. Just as we did in 2005, we gave WWE management no other choice but to turn Cena face. We brought Cena to the point of trying to redeem his final run with the last match against AJ and the little mini feud with Dominic over the IC title, and now his final performance at Saturday night's main event. And what an interesting time for Cena to run into this problem with the people in charge. Those people at the top made America's wrestler lose sight of who he is when America itself has lost sight of what America is supposed to be. Not only that, we live in a time where half of our country bends the knee to the uber rich, which is why it was so initially interesting when Cena turned on the grandson of a plumber, the son of the American dream. Cody Rhodes is supposed to be the new avatar in WWE for America, and Cena turned his back on him at the behest of the billionaire he once fought against. Cena lost the true American spirit, just as half of America has. We need to rebel again. We need hope. I've identified another coincidence here with the Cena retirement run, this one a much more hopeful than the last. See, Cena's retirement run coincided with the release of the first Superman movie in 12 years. We've all heard Cena sarcastically referred to as Super Cena throughout the years, but Cena really does have a lot of Superman in him. Throughout Cena's career, he has fought for truth, justice, and the American way. The American way that won out at SummerSlam when the American Nightmare effectively ended the heel Cena experiment and set us back on track to now. We don't know who Cena's final foe will be as of the recording of this pod, but I do know this. We can't remember Cena for this last bad taste that WWE delivered us. We have to remember him as the man he was in 2003 and 2005 and 2012 and 2013 when he was fighting against the establishment and when he was fighting for us. Cena wasn't a 20-year babyface for no reason. He was a 20-year babyface because, like Superman, he inspired hope in everyday people. Hope that if we never give up, things will get better and that we could thrive in a world where the upper class controls us. He taught 2 generations of kids to never give up, to rise against hate, and to live with hustle, loyalty, and respect. No matter the odds, he always lived by those codes. He faced challenge after challenge, and he always made it through. The whole way through, Cena represented America, not the country, but the people. I know we joke about it a lot because it was ridiculous, but in a way, he was the perfect guy to announce Bin Laden's death, like to all those people. He was our champion. He always fought for us and represented who we wanted to be. So even though this last stop on the Cena journey was rough, don't remember him for that. Remember him for who he was, the real life Superman, America's hero. And that's it for what I wrote, but it's just that I feel like that all kind of encapsulates the reason I've connected to him so much. He is an inspiration. He is a great person. He is a person to look up to, someone who I've looked up to for 13 years now. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I know that at Saturday night's main event, watching from my chair, I'll be in tears. Like I just already feel it coming on. Like we really are witnessing the end of something great, and it was really awesome to do this project and really assess why it was so great and what we connect to and get to live through this journey with Cena, and just realize why he means so much to all of us, that he means so much to. So with that, I want to remind everyone to enjoy wrestling. This has been John Cena, the Wrestler's Journey.